Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Jay the Great. Welcome back to another Naruto reaction video here today. And today we got quite a fun video by the great Swagkage. And as you can tell with the title, that is Naruto Jutsu tier list. Now, a few of you have been asking for it. So you know what? Y'all shall receive. And hopefully this video takes us down memory lane. You know, there's countless Jutsu in the Naruto verse. And I'm interested to see where Swagkage ranks them on this tier list. And I'm assuming it's his opinion. So this is more of a fun video. This is not really one where we're debating. This is just, you know, personal preference. I'm sure we all have our preferences. I'm sure there's common jutsus that we all have a common tier for, right? Like the iconic ones, I'm sure, like the Sharingan Jutsu, you know, the Sharingan, the Chidori, things of that nature. And there's obviously the more obscure ones that are just kind of there once in a while or barely there at all, and they're in the lower tier. But it's all based on personal preference. It's more of a fun video, like I said. So I'm interested to see what Swag has to say. But before I begin, you know, any of those really appreciate, hit that like button, turn on bell notifications, stay updated with yours truly. And if you are new and you enjoy, and this is your first time watching the kid and you enjoy, hit that sub button, man. I want you to become part of the family forever. But let's not waste any more time. Screen. See what Swag does today.
Everybody, how's it going?
What's going on?
Swagkage here, and today we have come back to tiermaker.com, and as I'm sure everybody can...
This is a longer video, but I got y'all. We're going to be watching the whole thing. No cuts, no nothing.
Series. Now, just so we're clear, as with the villains tier list, I made this template all by myself.
Wow, that's a lot of jutsus.
I just want to make sure everybody knows that, because I'm anticipating a few, oh wow, another tier list video, Swag, lazy content comment, when it actually took me the better part of 2 or 3 days just to get all of
those images, for sure.
You know, properly crop them, organize them. So, you know, I'm pretty proud of this template, and a few other things I want to get out of the way first. These are all organized chronologically. Not that important, but I guess it'll help everybody identify what jutsu is what. So if it appeared earlier in the series, it'll be closer to the top left here, and if it appeared later, it'll be closer to the bottom right.
All right.
Finally, I'm not going to be ranking the jutsu based on how powerful they are, but instead based on how much I like them.
Yeah, personal preference.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get started. So the first one here is the transformation jutsu.
Oh,
and
man.
This
is
like a serious swag factor,
the parent of all jutsus, right?
In like that,
some aspect.
I do think it's cool enough just because it's like a pretty basic utility jutsu,
right?
But it's one of the first. It's actually the first ninjutsu we see in the whole series, and it tells us a little bit about the world of Naruto, and is also used pretty well in the first chapter.
Definitely,
right? Like when Mizuki transforms into Iruka, and Iruka transforms into Naruto, and they have their like 4 billion IQ interaction there. That's pretty neat. So yeah, transformation.
Yeah, I put it somewhere around there. It's
sexy jutsu
iconic in some way. Oh yeah,
not only because it's really funny, but also because it gives us a neat amount of insight into Naruto.
It low-key took down Kaguya. Remember when Naruto used it against Kaguya? Low-key, that's what got her.
Then, as we
caught her
see,
slipping,
he's
basically.
able to pull off a really detailed, unique transformation jutsu that clearly took a lot of work and skill, but it just seems like he doesn't apply himself well enough to be a good ninja in other areas.
Right.
Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Oh man, easily highest tier.
Jutsu in S tier for a long time. I love this jutsu. I talked about it in my top 5 Naruto Jutsu video, which, by the way, you should not watch. That video is terrible and bad because it's so old. 1,000 Years of Death.
Oh yeah, remember that jutsu?
I don't know if it's funny enough to go in A, but a lot of people really.
I personally have it in B or C.
I'll put it in A.
It's cool.
Drag it down to B. Substitution Jutsu. Yeah, it's fine. It can go in B. Fireball Jutsu.
I'd probably put an A, just because of how useful it is. That one's dope. Fireball Jutsu is dope. Definitely A.
And the Sharingan...
I'd put that shit in S, low-key.
So I think the Sharingan is really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it enough to put it in S tier, right? So...
That's fair.
I might actually move the transformation jutsu.
I'd personally have Sharingan on S, though. That's just me, though.
And move the sexy jutsu.
Kakashi gave it a very good introduction, right? Like the debut of the Sharingan against Zabuza was
I don't know.
A1.
A tier to feel meaningful, and mostly because I want S tier to feel meaningful. So yeah. Hit and miss jutsu can go into B. It is pretty neat. Not Zabuza's coolest jutsu, but I like it well enough. Water prison, I also really like, if only because it put a handicap on Zabuza, a really interesting one in his fight against Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, where he was able to capture Kakashi, who is by far the most threatening member of the enemy team.
Most definitely.
He was forced to stay in place afterwards and couldn't use one of his hands. This was really interesting because he was so much stronger than Naruto and Sasuke that even with this severe handicap, he was able to give them a lot of trouble, and they were barely able to get Kakashi out of the water prison.
Yeah.
And even though they struggled like crazy to get Zabuza just to move his arm, it was still treated as though what they did was really impressive. So, you know.
It was.
I don't
for
know
a couple of Genin, right?
To put it in A, but it's definitely a cool enough jutsu.
Yep.
So when I was a kid, I probably would put Water Dragon in A, but I don't know. Enough characters use it later on in the series that it just sort of starts to feel pretty standard.
It's just one of those obscure ones, in my opinion.
Probably go in B as well. I really like Crystal Ice Mirrors, though.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Aside from the Sharingan, I guess the first Kekkei Genkai we see. And it's a really cool one, too, because Sasuke can't even melt it.
I'd probably put it at B, though. I thought it was cool, but not that cool. But
can travel between
still
mirrors and
fair.
Beats up Naruto and Sasuke. I like it a lot. Raikiri is definitely going into A.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I will not hear otherwise. It's always been cool. It was cool when it was first used, and it is still cool.
A1, definitely.
20 years later. I almost want to put it up in the S tier, but I don't think it's that cool. So, yeah, it can chill out in A for a little bit.
Yeah.
Dragon Flame Jutsu I'll put in C, because, like, it was awesome watching Sasuke melt Orochimaru's face off and everything, but it doesn't feel that different from the Fireball Jutsu. So I wouldn't even feel comfortable putting it in B.
That's fair.
Primary Lotus, I want to put it in A, but it didn't really do anything, right? Like, Gaara tanked it, Dosu tanked it, and so even though it looks really cool, especially the version that Lee uses on Gaara where he, like, kicks him up into the air a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel comfortable putting it as high as A, so it's going to...
I feel like that Jutsu had more potential for sure, but yeah, I agree.
Recognize the intended appeal of this jutsu, and it is kind of funny that, like, Choji's gimmick from the get-go is that he's fat, and his jutsu at first just makes him even fatter, right? This, like, exaggerated fat round ball of a person,
right,
is what he turns into, and he sucks his head into his jacket and starts spinning around so fast that he turned into a ball. Like, it's so ridiculous that you can't not think it's at least a little funny. But is it as cool as Water Dragon Jutsu? Does it tell us as much about Choji as...
To me, it was whatever, personally. It was cool.
Probably not. So I think I'm going to put it in C tier.
Yeah, that's
Shadow
fair.
Possession Jutsu on its own,
I thought that was dope.
Isn't, like, the coolest jutsu in the series, but the way Shikamaru uses it is just consistently one of the most entertaining things, like, ever. Mind Transfer
he's a beast with it.
Is a cool jutsu in theory, but it is heavily underutilized. So
Definitely.
if it were given to a character with more screen time who used it more effectively than Ino did, I'd put it in A.
One of those jutsus with wasted potential, you know?
Because Ino doesn't really do anything with it.
She doesn't really do anything in general, to be honest.
It's gotta go in B. Actually, maybe even C tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in C. Dosu's sound genjutsu is awesome. I just think Dosu in general is really, really cool. But it's super underexplored, right? So I can't put it in A.
He didn't have much screen time in general.
I don't have any problem sticking it in B. Slicing Soundwave is like... So I like the idea of somebody taking sound and just amping it up like crazy to the point that they are able to create, like, harmful projectile blasts with just sound. But it's even more underexplored than Dosu's jutsu is, and at the end of the day, it's basically just like a featureless Dragon Ball Z attack. Like, yeah, it's said to be caused by sound or whatever, right? Like, it's said that sound is an integral part of the jutsu. But if you showed me this and I didn't know anything about Naruto, and you told me that this guy was just, like, using, like, an energy blast or whatever, I'd just be like, oh, okay, so it's just, like, a generic attack. And if you were like, yeah, I would have no reason not to believe. So, because of that, I think I'm gonna stick it in. The Byakugan is cool enough.
Oh, man, that one I'd put in S low-key. I really like the Byakugan, personally.
It's underutilized enough to go in B. So I'm gonna be nice, because I know a lot of people like
I love Byakugan, yeah.
Byakugan. I'm gonna be nice and say that the Byakugan can chill out with the other big boys in A, but it's barely hanging on in A tier. Okay, I'm really close to putting it in B. I almost want to make an A- or a B+ to stick it in, but for now I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it in A tier.
That's
the
fair.
Curse Mark is an S tier.
Pretty dope. Yeah.
I want to say it's an easy S, but I don't know if it is because I'm really close to putting it in A tier with all of these guys, but I think I have to stick it in S. And I know that like if you really just drill it down, it's nothing more than like a generic anime power up, right? Like as far as its mechanics are concerned. But
I thought it was very cool.
The thing is, this power-up comes at a steep cost because no matter how you want to spin it, it is because of this that Sasuke goes to Orochimaru in search of power. Whether you think the curse mark, like, literally directly altered his mind or put, like, subconscious thoughts in his head that led him to train with Orochimaru, or whether you think that the power-up he received from it was substantial enough that this is what drove him to seek Orochimaru's help, it doesn't matter. There's no way you can argue that this on its own isn't responsible for Sasuke seeking Orochimaru's tutelage. And that's a huge series plot point. Sasuke leaving the Leaf Village changes everything.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioned, like
it's
one
of the pivotal points in the entire Naruto anime.
You're using. It also felt super sinister and mysterious before its mechanics and its origins were explained to the audience. So, yeah, I feel pretty confident with this S tier placement. All right, before he moves on to the next one, I want to speak about that curse mark. I think he made some good points that made me think about it a little right now. So I'm going to make this quick. But the curse mark, I feel like, obviously gives you an amp power. That's clear as day. That's obvious. But I feel like it brings out your more sinister inhibitions. Like Sasuke had a deep-rooted inhibition of power seekage, right? He wanted to become the most powerful to defeat his brother that he hated so much, Itachi Uchiha. So this taste of power that Orochimaru strategically put into Sasuke was done, in hopes that Sasuke, driven by the power, and see some appeal in Orochimaru's offer. That indirect offer that he gave him a little dose of what Orochimaru could do for him, right? Obviously, it's all strategically planned out to manipulate and influence Sasuke to take his body, clearly, but he wanted to influence Sasuke by doing so. So I think the curse mark is amazing. I thought it was very cool. I think it's very visually appealing. Like you get the marks everywhere, and then the phase 2 is obviously dope. The Sound 4 and all that, and Sasuke and Jugo later on in Shippuden. Like I thought it was very well done, and I think it's a very symbolic jutsu. Maybe not to the extent of the Shadow Clone Jutsu, because Shadow Clone Jutsu is fucking Naruto Uzumaki. That's what it is. But the curse mark was pivotal for the Naruto anime, right? At that point is when Sasuke really started to dwell into more evil ways, right? He's like, all right, this power, it feels good, and I need more of it. So I thought it was very, very cool, and definitely is an S tier jutsu, in my opinion. Often, I want to give the A tier.
Sand Coffin?
Yeah. Sand Coffin is going in A tier.
Anything Gaara does is awesome. I'm not going to lie.
I put it in here because it's just sort of the same thing as Sand Coffin. See, I don't want A tier to look super overpopulated, and I don't know if I want to put... I'm going to stick this at the bottom here, and if I decide to put it in later, it'll go in. I don't even remember this guy's name. Yoroi. Yeah, that's what his name is. Yoroi. His chakra absorption ability is, like... So at the time, I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh, that guy. I remember.
And all that, but, like... Nobody ever uses this jutsu ever again.
That's correct.
And it's, like... superseded by the Rinnegan's ability to absorb jutsu later on.
Correct.
So yeah, this doesn't even belong in C.
Nah.
Definitely gonna have to stick it down in D.
I might even put it in F, to be honest.
Lion's Barrage I thought was neat, so
it was neat.
Going in B.
I put it in C probably.
Parasitic Insects jutsu
very cool.
Is
very
also
cool.
Really cool. I want to put it in A because I like Shino, especially in part 1, but it's not that cool. So B, I think, is where it belongs.
He's very unique.
I thought the
like
Puppet
Shino.
Master Jutsu was pretty interesting when I first saw it, but there are other Jutsu used by Puppet Masters on this list that are way cooler than the regular Puppet Master Jutsu.
I wasn't in that much awe when I saw the Puppet Jutsu.
His whole thing
so yeah,
that he's a Puppet Master. He's just so much worse at it than Sasori and Shino.
Correct.
Like, why is he even still in the series after the first arc of Shippuden? I think Man Beast Clone is really cool. In part one especially, I think Kiba was awesome. Well, I don't know if he was awesome, right? I don't think he was like top 10 part one characters, but I respected him enough, and I really liked his skill set. But like a lot of people I saw in their tier list put it like way down here. I don't think it's like even fair to put it in C tier. I thought Kiba being like one with nature and being like a borderline animal was like really interesting. And so like the thing about this jutsu is that Akamaru is transforming into a person while Kiba adopts the attitude of an animal. So there's sort of like
meeting in between, right?
Halfway.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining it properly.
I understand.
I really like it. And Fang over Fang is sort of the same thing.
All right, so I apologize for the pausing. I'm only gonna try to pause in like the most, coolest jutsus or like most controversial jutsus that he puts on here. So for this one, me personally, I wouldn't put him at B. Like, Kiba's stuff. I kind of thought Kiba was kind of like a nonchalant character. He was whatever to me. He was never that cool to me. I wasn't in awe of his abilities, and I'd probably put both of his abilities, Fang over Fang, and the other one probably in C or D. I just don't think he's that cool. That's just my opinion. He's whatever, but yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I'm gonna try not to pause very often, so I apologize. But in the big moments with the jutsus that I don't agree with, or like the big jutsus like we're gonna get to later on, I'll probably pause and make it quick. Let's continue though.
But whatever. Like, I guess it's redundant, but I'll stick it in B too. Uzumaki Barrage is lame, dude. This was the dumbest thing ever. Naruto was just like, he saw Sasuke's Lion's Barrage, and he was like, I want to do my own thing. And he just like gets a bunch of shadow clones.
I guess that's
and
fair.
Beats Kiba up and calls it his own jutsu. Oh, okay, it's not F tier, but it doesn't even belong in C. It's lame, especially because there's another Naruto's
fair placement
Barrage in these jutsu that's so much cooler than this one that like I can't even put it in C tier. It doesn't belong there. 8 Gates.
Oh man, I put that shit in. I put that shit in S immediately.
I like it, but I don't like it. I like the idea of the 8 Gates, but I don't.
I love it.
Much.
I love it.
I want to put Hidden Lotus in S tier, but maybe I will.
I got 8 Gates above Hidden Lotus easily. I definitely put a Gates in S for sure.
Hidden Lotus.
I disagree with that one, but they're both cool at the end of the day.
Summoning Jutsu is an easy B. It has a lot of utility throughout the series. It's used by plenty of characters. Just because of like the inherent design of the jutsu, it allows for a lot of variety, even between multiple people all using it. It allows them to have like a lot of self-expression, and it never gets like stale, right? Like if any other jutsu were used by as many people as the summoning jutsu, it would start to feel like lame, but not this, because you can summon so many different kinds of creatures. It's such a cool jutsu, but I don't know if it goes in A. I think it belongs in A.
A or B is fair.
Palm rotation.
I like that jutsu.
Nice looking shield, but that's all I really have to say about it. 64 palms. I
thought that was very cool.
One of my like top 5 favorite jutsu ever, though. It's so cool to look at. Neji just beats the crap out of the fuck. 64 palms is one of my like top 5 favorite jutsu in the series, though. It's so cool to look at.
Definitely.
Neji just thrashes whoever's on the receiving end of this attack. But he doesn't even come off as like a meathead brute or anything while he does it. It's so graceful and precise. Like, man, very well done. There's so much to like about this jutsu, dude. It's awesome. Wind Scythe Jutsu is another B. I think this is probably going to be the most heavily populated tier. Chidori is another A. I know it's the
I love Chidori.
As Lightning Blade. I probably shouldn't have even put it on the list. Well, like, as far as the series is concerned, it's slightly different, right? But like for something like this, it's pretty much the same thing, especially if they both end up in the same tier.
Right.
But I don't know. I'd feel weird including one and not the other, because like there are distinctions made between the two of them, but whatever. They're both in tier A.
I like Chidori probably the most out of any lightning style jutsu, maybe besides Kirin.
You can go into S tier, especially for like.
Oh man, I love that jutsu.
The first time we see Orochimaru use
so dope.
Jutsu, man, it makes him feel so powerful.
Definitely.
It's so deadly. It's also such like the jutsu just like feels inherently like evil, dude. I know we find out later that like Tobirama created it or whatever, but the first person we see use it is Orochimaru, and it fits him so well because he already has this like divine, larger-than-life aura about him. And then we just see him revive the first 2 Hokage from the dead to fight Hiruzen. Deep Forest Emergence.
All right, I want to speak on that one. So yeah, when I saw the debut of the reanimation jutsu and the Hiruzen versus Orochimaru battle, I thought it was so awesome. Like, and to me, it seems sinister, right? Like, to most people in most parts of the world, bothering the dead is unethical and immoral. So that just gave me a more sinister idea when I think of Orochimaru. He's more sinister to me. He's more evil, and I thought it was really the perfect jutsu for someone like Orochimaru at that point, and it just made me fear him even more, and be even in more awe of him. I was like, damn, this guy is quite skilled and quite sinister. He's a perfect villain, and I thought it was very well done. I definitely think it's an S tier, one of my favorites.
I thought it was cool that Hashirama could summon trees and stuff, but like, even when I was a kid and I was super prone to just liking a jutsu because it looked neat and nothing else,
right?
I was just like, well, like, he did just fill up that whole barrier, but who cares? So
True.
I do like it more now, but I've never been super fond of it. Again, it's not bad, but I don't think it's cool enough to put an A. Orochimaru's body stealing jutsu.
Put a B.
It's not as cool as any of these.
Yeah, it's not.
But
I agree.
I don't know if it belongs in B. I'll leave it in B for now. Maybe I'll move it. Probably won't. I don't feel good about it, but I also wouldn't feel good putting it in A tier.
Right.
Reaper Death Seal is probably
really cool.
Easy
really cool.
Jutsu.
Yes.
It's really cool. Uzumaki 2K Barrage goes in A tier, and I want to put it in B tier, but I think it's swag enough to throw into A tier.
Agreed.
Kurenai's Genjutsu.
Oh god, it's so embarrassing.
Goes in F.
Yes.
Just because, like, why even make her a Genjutsu specialist if you're gonna make her first opponent Itachi?
Exactly.
Flips the jutsu around on her and then uses one that's like the same thing but infinitely cooler. I think Kurenai is cool, right? Like, she's got a neat personality, and her design is nice as well. But like, what was Kishimoto thinking, making her a like I said, like, why would you put her against Genjutsu Jesus, like, before you show her fighting anyone else, and then make her specialty Genjutsu? I don't understand. Itachi's exploding clone.
All right, so I want to speak on that one because that's the first F one that's significant. It was a fucking joke. I felt so bad for her. I really liked her at the beginning. Red-eyed. She's bad. It's a bad female. She's attractive. I'm not saying she's a bad character. I'm saying she's fine, right? She's red-eyed, has Genjutsu. I was excited to see her debut, and then they put her against the god of Genjutsu. Like, she gets fucking clapped immediately, and she's a Genjutsu specialist. But against Itachi, no one's a specialist unless you're fucking Madara or something like that, or the Hagoromo or something like that, like a god yourself. But it was so embarrassing. I felt so bad for her. He fucking clapped all, the leaf joning like nothing, and I don't know. They really just made her like fodder in that one. I'm sorry. So I agree, it's an F, and I like her. It's just reality though.
A, and Tsukuyomi.
Oh man, put that in S. Oh god,
don't
yes.
Even think I have to explain that.
Yeah, you don't. Hell yes.
So some people are gonna be mad at
Love Tsukuyomi.
Jiraiya's like toad belly or whatever this jutsu is called in C tier, but I don't know. I never thought it was.
I'd probably put a B, but that's fair.
Another C tier, right? I don't even know why it's a named jutsu. It's just Tsunade being really strong, and like, if it was like a unique thing where like Tsunade amps herself up using chakra and you can clearly see it, and it's like not a regular thing for her to do, then I'd probably put it in B. But it's just her kicking. It's not even her kicking like comparatively that hard, like to
right.
Like when compared to her other attacks. It's just
basically Taijutsu, right?
Belongs in A with Chidori and Raikiri. My Todic regeneration, I think, is a fair A as well.
Very cool. I think it's an A personally. It's very cool.
I think it belongs in A tier. Super expansion jutsu as well. No, now A is getting super crowded. Oh no. But like, when he just grew to be the size of a full forest against Jirobo? Like, are you kidding me? That was awesome, dude.
That was dope,
That's one of the coolest things in that whole fight. Jirobo's Earth Dome is a C. Jirobo sucks. Butterfly Bomb. I know a lot of people really like Butterfly Bomb. It's alright. It's not my favorite, but I don't hate it. Kidomaru's bow is C. His spiderweb jutsu is neat, but I couldn't find any like panels in the manga that like effectively captured the whole entire thing.
Right.
And it's more like multiple jutsu than just one jutsu. I would put that in B, but just his bow, like, no, that's a C tier jutsu.
That's pretty cool, but yeah, that's fair.
Multiple fist barrage can, yeah, it belongs in B, I think. I also couldn't find any panels in the manga that were like good illustrations of Sakon and Yukon's Kekkei Genkai, which I would put in A because of how much I like Sakon. But just multiple fist barrage, you know what? No, this goes in C. It's just him like, okay, you know what? No, I'm not being fair. This belongs in B. It is cool you getting punched by like 4 different fists at once. Well, like, yeah, B. I think B is a
fair. Either place is fair to me.
Now some people are gonna be like baffled that I put this in A, but man, when Kiba did this for the first time, I got so hyped. Okay, I know some of you guys are.
Yeah,
like, really
I don't agree with that one, but hey, to each their own, right?
8 gates, but I mean, I know it doesn't like it's not responsible for any cool moments later, but even the panel that I used here of this gigantic dog just staring down Sakon and Yukon.
I put it out a B.
Like, tell me
the cool dog, the big dog's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Awesome,
but not an A, in my opinion.
I guess this falls under the summoning jutsu, but I thought it was like unique enough that I could put it as like its own distinct entry. So yeah, it's going in B. Now all of Taiyuya's stuff is A tier. I've already talked about how cool I think Taiyuya is. Well, you know what? I don't know if her Genjutsu's A. Never mind. What was I thinking? I've already talked about how cool I think Taiyuya is, and I know that I'm really inflating A tier now, but like, man, she, like, all her stuff is just sick. I think more than a lot of the Sound 4 members, she feels like one of Orochimaru's henchmen. You know, she and Sakon feel like really, like, they feel really, like, freaky and, like evil, you know? Because she summons these, like, gigantic demon things and then sends these... I don't even know how to describe these.
I got Shikamaru, that was pretty cool.
Like ghosts with a bunch of mouths, like, covering their body that, like, eat your chakra. And then this illusion where you just watch yourself melt while you're held in place by thin wires. Like, oh man. Yeah, I'm not gonna be told that these don't belong in A. Kimimaro's Kekkei Genkai, A's getting really crowded, but... Yeah, if Crystal Ice Mirrors can be here, then so can Kimimaro's Kekkei Genkai.
I thought he was a pretty cool character.
I want to put an A, but it's not that cool. I thought it was sick when I was a kid. But the only reason is because it's just sort of like a standard thing that Gaara can do by the end of the series. And you see Gaara do a bunch of other crazy stuff with sand. So, like, there's really nothing like the moment where Kiba turns into his 2-headed dog for the first time. But Gaara, like, constantly one-ups the sand tsunami. So I don't feel comfortable putting it in an A. I kind of want to put Vermilion Rasengan and Chidori Lament in S tier, right? Because these were just like so cool when they were used.
Iconic, definitely iconic.
I also kind of want to put them in A, but like at that point, like why even include them? So I'm gonna put them down here at the bottom and let it sit with me for a little bit. And
that's fair.
If I change my mind, then I guess they'll go in S tier. But if not, they're probably gonna chill out in A tier with all these guys. Flying Raijin, tier, was number 3, I think, on my top 5 favorite jutsu.
It's so cool. I love Flying Raijin.
Deidara is...
let me speak about Flying Raijin, all right? Because that's probably one of my top 5. I thought it was so satisfying when Minato, you know, got that Bijou bomb from Kurama out of the way of the village. It was so satisfying to see, and that really made me in awe of him, right? I was like, holy shit, who is this guy? When, you know, when we get to see him for the first time in the anime, at least. And then to see him use it against, you know, Toby, who obviously is Obito, as we all know now. It was so cool to see. I loved every minute of Minato's appearance on screen and in the manga. He's brilliant. I think that jutsu is one of the very coolest ones. So useful, so cool, so dope. That's all I have to say.
Jutsu is a B. Both of these, I think, belong in B tier. Same with the like sealing jutsu of the Akatsuki, especially because it turns out to be completely unnecessary. Like, Obito just sucks them into the statue with chains later, and like so does Madara.
Right.
So it just sort of seems a bit weird that they have to get like 9 people together whole day just sucking the tailed beast out of the Jinchuriki. I don't know. I mean, it does look really cool, but you know, that aside, it's a victim of one of the worst things about Naruto, which is the retcon. This jutsu sucks. It's just a fart of air that you do with your hand. It's just a fart of air that you make with your hand.
Right. That's funny.
I guess C tier is more fair for it, but I don't really like it that much. A Sakujaku belongs in A. I don't like it as much as the Hidden Lotus, but it is really, really cool.
Definitely.
Iron Sand,
I love Iron Sand personally.
So at first
I put it at A.
It was like an A jutsu, but I think B is a more fair placement for it because it's like just Gaara's sand thing, but like black. Well, no, you know what, that I just realized that looks sick, and it's also more like rigid, and there's a whole lot of angles.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Iron Sand jutsu.
I thought the Iron Sand is cool. I thought it was very cool. I still think it's very cool. Definitely.
Chikamatsu's 10 puppets are like, they're really cool, but I don't know if they're A rank. So yeah, they belong in B tier. Performance of 100 puppets is
I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope.
Ever used of all time.
Definitely.
I won't. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. Kakashi's Kamui is A
dope.
tier, right?
Dope.
I like it a lot, but I don't like it as much as Obito's comp. Super B
Agreed.
Scroll is like C. Like I like Sai.
That's whatever.
And
he's whatever to me personally.
Cool conceptually, but then like for pretty much the whole series, it was just the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
In the last, he uses it in pretty creative ways, but this is not Sai's the last jutsu. This is just his regular Super B Scroll stuff, and it sucks. I want to put Chakra Gun in A because like Naruto just firing this massive mouth laser and blowing up Orochimaru's triple Rashomon was one of the coolest things I ever
Pretty
seen.
Dope.
When I was, did I watch this for the first time when I was a teenager, or was I still like 11 or 12? I don't know. But when I was whatever age, it was really cool to look at.
Definitely.
I don't think it's as cool as all these other things. So, in B rank you go. Chidori Nagashi. Easy A rank.
Definitely.
Joshin Jutsu is neat, but it's not one of my favorites. So
any form of Chidori, A or above.
Same with Kakazu's Jutsu, right? Like, as much as I like Kakazu, I don't like him enough to put his Jutsu in A. So
it's fair.
Rasen Shuriken, I think, is
dope. Well, I thought it was pretty dope. I'd put it at A personally.
It's on the low end of A because it is cool, but like my thing is Naruto took way too long to learn it. He should have known this coming into Shippuden because at the beginning of Shippuden, it felt like Jiraiya hadn't really taught him anything.
Low-key, I agree. I agree with that.
Still, that's not really the fault of the jutsu. So Rasen Shuriken, you can hang out here in A with all the other big boys. Hydrification, so we get to turning himself in the water is nice, yeah. I want to put it in C because it's not really like used that well, but that's not fair to Suigetsu. He belongs in B.
Yeah.
Jugo Senjutsu, like I like Jugo, and this is not a knock against him as a character, but his whole gimmick pisses me off because it, like the curse mark felt like this weird forbidden like black magic that Orochimaru had created, and then it just like. It's just all from this one guy, and it's also like nature energy and like sage mode or whatever too. It just cheapens the curse mark, and that makes me very unhappy.
True.
Like, stripped of that, I'd probably put it in B, but because of the implications it has in its relationship with one of my favorite jutsu in the series, I gotta slap it down in C tier.
Right.
C2 Dragon is just a bigger version of Deidara's C1 Bird, so it like I don't like it. It's going in C.
It's whatever.
C4 is also cool hypothetically, but it doesn't do anything to Sasuke, and it doesn't look cool enough to make up for that. So I think it belongs in C. Now C0.
Pretty dope.
I feel comfortable.
Basically, a nuke, a small nuke, or an atomic bomb.
Lives through it. It was really shocking when Deidara just killed himself because of how angry Sasuke made him in that fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that explosion is so massive. It was like it's hard not to respect him after that. So yeah.
Deidara just hates Sharingans after Itachi clapped him. He hates Sharingans.
Easy peasy S tier. Massive Rasengan is like...
Okay, let me speak on the Rinnegan. Okay, I have to speak on this, all right? So, when I first saw Pain, right? When he fought Jiraiya, I was in the most awe I think I might have ever been, because I think the pain arc arguably is one of the very best arcs in all of Naruto. I was so fucking hooked, man, the first time I saw it. Like, dude, this guy is a god. I mean, Jiraiya was in awe of him. Jiraiya was. And at that point, I looked highly upon Jiraiya. He was a legendary Sanin. He fought Orochimaru. Obviously, Orochimaru didn't have arms at that point, but still, it still applies to some extent. He was just a very powerful shinobi. I was like, this guy's the shit. And then he fights Pain, and Pain is just something else entirely. Like, everything about Pain, I was in awe of. And that Rinnegan ability just made me even more so in awe. I mean, this guy was God. I mean, he's fucking God. Like, that's what he was to me when I first saw him, obviously. Like, the true impact it had on me personally was almost unlike any other. Only very few characters or jutsus had me in awe to that extent, and definitely S tier to the highest extent, man. I love the Rinnegan, and I just love Pain, honestly.
It's a B. My main thing with it is like the whole thing about the Rasengan is that it's like strong because it's chakra like condensed into a small space, and then Jiraiya's just like, yeah, but also I can do a massive, gigantic, huge, like mega Rasengan.
Pretty cool.
So, like, why even include that as like a clause of the jutsu? If you know what I mean, it's sort of like Jugo's thing with the curse mark. But that said, this looks way cooler than Jugo's Senjutsu does.
Yeah.
So I don't mind putting it in B tier. Prayer Path Absorption is okay. B tier, I think, is where it belongs. The 6 paths technique is probably A tier. I think S is where that belongs.
That's fair.
Amaterasu's also S.
Oh, I love Amaterasu, dude. So dope.
Dragon Flame Jutsu,
the inextinguishable flame.
The same name.
Dope.
Is
dope.
Yeah, it's B. It's not as cool as the original Fireball Jutsu, just because when you see it, it's not as like nice to look at as the Fireball Jutsu is the first time you see it. But
right.
I think I might actually stick the Fireball Jutsu down in B. Now that I think about it, I might move you back up later, but for now, you're hanging out in the cool but not that cool category. Ooh, here we go. All right.
I'm in a new tier. Kirin. You literally named it Kirin.
Susanoo is also an S rank jutsu. I really like it. And Lariat, kind of want to put it in A, but I don't know if it's as cool as all of these jutsu. So I think B is a fair place for it. Karin's healing jutsu is like, I think it's a really cool idea. But like, it's not like awesome. But
pretty cool, pretty useful, very useful.
It deserves to be in B.
That's fair.
The soul absorption thing of the human path is like really weird to me, especially because it's like never taken advantage of. So here's the thing, right? I think this could be an A tier jutsu, but it's only used on like NPCs. And Nagato almost used it to kill Naruto and B. But he doesn't, because of course he can't. They're the main, like, Naruto's the main character.
Right.
So, it's like, yeah, this is cool, but why even put it in the series if you're just never going to, like, actually...
They use it effectively, right?
Yeah. To it. King
Agreed.
of Hell is sort of the same thing. It's also, so the King of Hell is just the human path, but, like, a summon, and it's like the same, like, it just kills, like, NPCs. That's all it's responsible for.
Right.
So,
I see what you're saying.
Like, Conan's paper jutsu is so sick. It's such a weird jutsu, especially for after Itachi, Kisame, Deidara, and Sasori, and then Hidan and Kakazu, like all these people with like crazy powers. Like 2 of them are immortal.
Right.
2 of them are like Sasori can blow up this gigantic cave just with like sand. And has all these crazy poison contraptions and killed the 3rd Kazekage. And Deidara can do this. And then Itachi and Kisame speak for themselves. Then you just tell me that, like, the right hand to the boss of the Akatsuki's power is, like, that's what it is. And it's actually surprisingly
very unique.
Cool.
Very unique, yeah.
Bansho Teni, A rank. Shinra Tensei.
It's all good.
A rank.
F is F anyway.
Stage mode is easy S rank. So cool. And same with Chibaku Tensei. Rene Rebirth is gonna go in C.
Oh, dude. Chibaku Tensei. I love Chibaku Tensei.
Like, all of the consequences that came from the pain arc get immediately undone by this jutsu, right? Like Kakashi dead, all these other characters dead, except actually they come back to life. So you only think that they're dead for a little bit before they're revived, and it's just like, it feels kind of cheap and cheesy. Raikage's lightning armor is cool.
Dope. I thought it was dope,
not that cool, so I'm gonna stick it in B. But the Liger Bomb, oh man. It's awesome. Definitely A. Enton Kagetsuchi is S rank, just like Amaterasu.
Definitely.
Lava Style is... hold on. I'm going to delete F tier because there's no way I'm going to fill up. Like, there's barely even, like, a distinction between them. We don't need it, so...
Right.
Anyway, Lava Style is just like, you're like, oh, cool. This person who has, like, this cool blend between, like, Fire Style and Water Style, I can't wait to see how it's used later in the war arc, where every character has the opportunity to, like, show off their stuff. And then it's just like, oh shit, it's worthless. Okay, well, that sucks. Particle Style,
I thought that was so dope. I'd put it like an A, man.
Obito's
I love Particle Style.
Is S. So
very cool. Yeah.
Izanagi, the way like Danzo used it, is probably S. But just because of the weird retcon where like Itachi said that all of the Uchiha clan was using it, even though you needed like 6 paths powers to do it, I'm not putting it in S. I gotta stick it in A.
Right.
Kodo Matsukami is... we never see it.
I love Kodo Matsukami.
But it is what...
I mean, just the idea of it.
Like Kabuto's control. But see, if we'd actually seen it used, I'd probably put it in A or S. But since we don't really know anything about it, I feel more comfortable putting it in B.
I like Seishu a lot, man. I know we didn't see much of him, obviously, but I like him a lot.
D rank. Like, hard D rank. Only because in Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution, this was the dumbest thing in the whole game. It just killed you in like one hit. This like Super Otama or Sengon Mega Barrage or whatever it's called. I feel okay putting it in A rank.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool to see Kurama just get pounded by like 600 billion Rasengan. You go here. You
that was dope.
Here, Hirodora is Hirodora S or is it A?
I'd put it A.
It's probably A rank.
Very cool though. Very cool.
Jutsu, yeah, you're B. Laser Circus, you're B. Planetary Rasengan. Grand Sand Mausoleum would be so much cooler if it had actually been like effectively used to seal any like big like threatening like boss characters in the war. But it like no one major got taken down by this, so as much as I want to put it in A, it's going in B.
Fair.
The Clam Genjutsu I'm sticking in C just because like it's so confusing and it's so hard to follow, and the Mizukage has to sit there and like explain it to you like 8 times, and you're still like, I don't know, man. Majestic Destroyer.
Mizukage was just kind of just there, huh? Be honest.
S. It's probably more like A rank. Tengai Shinsei though, that's an S rank jutsu. When Madara first summoned this meteor, yeah.
Oh god, so cool.
You guys,
loved it.
You go there. Lightning Cable. You go here. So Susanoo Kagetsuchi is I mean, if Susanoo is
so dope.
S,
yeah.
Amaterasu is S.
Yeah.
And Kagetsuchi is S, then yeah, this one has to be S as well, right?
Right.
Yasuka Magatama, yeah, that's a B. It's kind of cool, but it's not like that cool. So I kind of feel like a bit of a dork for putting both Mitotic Regeneration and 100 Healings on this in this template, because I mean I'm gonna put them in the same tier, and even though they are different, they're similar enough that the fact that they're in the same tier is like, why even put both of them in then? But
right,
whatever. Kabuto's dragon thing is like really weird. So like the fact that it is a big red dragon has nothing to do with the way the jutsu functions, right? It's some weird like high-pitched sound jutsu that's supposed to mess with the opponent's senses, and you wouldn't get that impression from first looking at the red dragon here. So like, I mean, I think the jutsu's cool. I don't think it makes any sense. Izanami I am putting in B tier because while I like the idea of an infinite loop genjutsu, the reason for its creation, like
I thought it was very cool.
About the
I'd put it in an A tier, in the A tier probably.
Like to justify its existence is really stupid. It also is a bit too strong. It got pulled out of nowhere, never been mentioned before. All of a sudden, conveniently, when they have to beat Kabuto without killing him, Itachi has a genjutsu that works on people who are immune to visual and auditory genjutsu. Like, I don't know, man. It seems pretty Deus Ex Machina to me. So, as much as I want to put it in an A because I think it's cool, like the loop aspect of it, everything surrounding it is a bit stinky, so I'm gonna stick it in B. Perfect Susanoo, not even gonna make a case for it. I doubt anybody's surprised.
Yeah, definitely yes, definitely. So cool.
Cho Mini Bijudama. Yeah, well, like a small-tailed beast bomb is cool, but like, so at this point, it wasn't doing serious damage to anybody. It was pretty much the same thing as a Rasengan,
right?
Like, as far as utility was concerned, by the time it started being used. So I'm gonna stick it in B. You can go in B. This should go in B just because it's like, but it's just so cool. So I'm sticking it in A. Majestic Attire Susanoo is going in S. Letting the Nine
Most
Tails
definitely
Susanoo as armor is really cool, and I'm not gonna be told otherwise.
Yeah,
so
cool,
exactly
so cool.
Where it belongs. The Wood Golem is either A or B. Like, compared to the other stuff Hashirama can do, this isn't super like unique or impressive. So I think B is a fair place to put
That's
it.
fair.
But this, the gigantic 1,000-armed Buddha, I don't even remember the proper name for it, but it's so over the top and ridiculous. I don't know if I want to put it. No. S is a fair place for it. This thing is pretty awesome. Human Boulder Yo-Yo. I always like seeing Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji working together and doing cool team combination stuff. And this was a pretty unique example of that. So yeah, A is a fair place for that. Ten Tails Chakra Mode, easy S.
I thought it was really cool. Yeah, I agree.
Repeated explosive tags is probably, yeah, best at A. Enton Rasen Shuriken. A makes the most sense to me.
All right, when it comes to Rasen Shurikens, I pause it real quick, by the way. I just think they're very visually appealing, and especially when you get, like, in the last, for example, when he's using, like, those golden Rasen Shurikens, those are really dope, very powerful, very effective, and you can throw it in high volume, right? Like the boiler release against Madara when you got the 6-path amps, like those were so dope. I always thought Rasen Shuriken was just very visually appealing, and I think it had a great debut against Kakuzu, especially when like he fucking almost de-atomized the guy. Like it was so potent, you know, like the loud noise, the force that it contains in a small space, like it like shuts, like it explodes and it kind of like comes together, you know what I mean? If you see it against Kakuzu and the way he uses it, it's so cool. I just really like the Rasen Shuriken personally, and I think any variation of it is at least A or above. You know, like the debut one is an S, the boil release one is an S. Like that's just me though. I really like that one. I think it's very visually appealing and very cool.
Biju Sage Mode. Well, since
dope.
Sage Mode is an S and Biju Mode is an A.
Sage Mode is so cool, by the way. I forgot to even talk about that one, but that one's cool as well. Biju Sage Mode is so cool.
I don't even know if I want to rank this, so I'm gonna put it in the save for later pile. Same with Senjutsu Susanoo. I don't know how I feel about this. This one might be a B. This one was kind of weird. Not as bad, just that, you know.
It was just whatever to me.
I didn't see this and go, oh, that's cool. I was like, so that's neat, but it's also kind of stupid. The Sword in Naboko, I think it makes sense to put it in A because it's said to be powered by the wielder's force of will, and so it makes sense that Naruto and Sasuke are able to beat Obito in the moment that his resolve to continue on with the Eye of the Moon plan gets shaken up. You know, there's this split second where he has all of these thoughts about what could have been, how his life could have turned out if he hadn't followed after Madara. And it's because he has this brief moment of doubt that Naruto and Sasuke are able to break through the sword of Ninoboko and rip the 10 tails out of him.
Correct.
I think that was a pretty cool way to have him lose. Even though I know a lot of
very symbolic, right? Yeah, I agree.
Of talk no jutsu by
yeah.
that point.
Right.
Guy is
easily S, man.
Everybody likes this jutsu. This is, like
legendary.
No way I could put it anywhere.
There's no way.
Beneath S.
No way.
Magma style Rasen Shuriken.
I would love it.
Yeah, you can go here. Maybe here. I'm gonna be honest.
I
don't know if
do not agree.
Really like the idea of Naruto combining Biju chakra.
I loved it, man. Me personally.
Because the Rasengan was already.
I'm sorry, I have to put it at S
really
or A. A at the lowest. That's me though.
Like the fact that Naruto was able to do that was a mark of his like genius or whatever. Like even Minato couldn't do it, and he created the Rasengan. But
correct.
So then you tell me Naruto not only adds wind to the Rasengan, he adds lava to the wind added to the Rasengan. And lava's not like a regular nature transformation either. That's the reason why this is so wacky. Lava is a Kekkei Genkai combination
of water and fire.
Nature transformations, fire and earth. So
fire and earth, excuse me.
It was supposed to be like borderline impossible to add a nature element to a Rasengan. Naruto has effectively added 3 of them to this one: fire, earth, and wind. And it all just sort of comes out of nowhere because he gets his like Sage of 6 Paths powers. It's never addressed, it's never pointed out how weird this is. And so while it does look really nice, I don't know if I think it makes that much sense. So C is.
I disagree with that one heavily. I love that.
Mode, on the other hand, this looks
Magma Master Shuriken
version looks awesome. And Madara's.
So
I'm
cool.
Okay with this placement. Limbo is either A or S.
I'm at an A. I don't think it was an S level, but I thought it was very cool.
Jutsu list, so I think I should probably put it in S tier. Amino Tejikara. Sasuke's Rinnegan teleportation. If it is
very cool.
Very close to being an S because every time Sasuke uses it, it's for something that's just like really cool.
Definitely.
The only good fight in like the whole Boruto anime is Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki. And one of the coolest moments in that fight features this jutsu. So I'd feel a little bit bad if I didn't put it up here. But again, S tier is getting really crowded. So I'm gonna put you in A. I feel bad about it, but you're really close to S, I promise.
That's fair.
Magnet style Rasengan might be in C for the same reasons as the lava style Rasen Shuriken, but
again,
fair,
I disagree. I think it's very visually appealing, but
an element to a Rasengan that's already had an element added to it. This is just adding an element to a Rasengan. But it is also, just like lava, it is a Kekkei Genkai element.
To me, it's very, very cool.
What the elements that make up magnet release are, I'm pretty sure it's wind and earth. And wait, actually, if part of magnet release is wind, why wouldn't it have any of the traits of the Rasen Shuriken, right? Like that's the other thing. This is basically just a regular Rasengan with like Shukaku patterns on it. So I don't know.
Right.
This is kind of weird. Onyx Chidori is
dope.
Pretty much the same thing as Chidori Lament. So I'm gonna stick it here at the back for a little bit. Infinite Tsukuyomi. Before I found out that it turned everybody into Zetsus, I would have put it in A or S. Like I can totally see how they came to the conclusion that this was like a morally righteous thing to do, to put everyone under the influence of the Infinite Tsukuyomi. But then I found out that even if they had succeeded, it would have just turned everybody into Zetsus.
Oh God.
Stupid. So
yeah, it is stupid.
All of Kaguya's jutsu, I want to say, are S. Not only are they like really powerful, but they're also super cool to look at, and they feel pretty alien compared to a lot of the other jutsu.
I agree with that.
Throughout the series, like the portal she opens when she travels between dimensions is this weird shape that I don't know how to describe. That's made out of like multiple squares. It's super cool. So. Yeah, I don't. So this is sort of like a hybrid of both Kamui Shuriken and Kakashi's Perfect Susanoo, and I thought it was pretty dope. Stupid.
I put an A.
Right, like that Kakashi got a Perfect Susanoo is kind of dumb, and it did sort of get pulled out of thin air. If not for that, I
I agree.
put this in S, but
I put an A, yeah.
It is pretty Deus Ex Machina-y. Gonna have
This is
to
very
be
outlandish, right? Like an outlandish thing that happened, right?
Or you're a B. The Six Paths Chibaku Tensei. So mechanically, it's the exact same thing as regular Chibaku Tensei.
Correct.
On a larger scale, but this panel right here where they seal Kaguya looks cool enough to keep me from putting it in B, just because, like, again, it's the same thing as regular Chibaku Tensei right here. That's what I want to do, but again, it looks so cool that I won't feel awful for sticking in an A here. Sasuke's final Susanoo and Indra's Arrow are both S. Not only are these two of the coolest looking things in the whole series, but
so cool.
The process through which Sasuke created these jutsu is also super sick. Like, he summoned all of the Biju satellites and absorbed the chakra from all of the tail beasts inside, and it made him so much more powerful that it transformed his Susanoo. And if his Susanoo had ended up looking stupid after the transformation, that would have been one thing. But it definitely,
anything that involves Sasuke is usually very cool, right?
I've ever seen in my entire life. And now the Six Paths Ultra Big Ball Rasen Shuriken. I don't think it's as cool
I thought it was cool
as Indra's Arrow or the final Susanoo, but I do think it's cool enough to stick it in A tier.
Fair enough.
Half of this is also Naruto's like 3-headed, 6-armed avatar, which is also really cool. I kind of want to put it in S for, but no, A is where this belongs. Now, do I really feel like ranking any of these?
Hard to rank, I agree.
Not really.
Oh, wow. I stopped it right there. I didn't expect that. Alright, guys. Well, that's the end of the video. Still very well done by Swagkage, I might add. Now, that one was a fun one. It's more personal preference right now. There's a few I disagreed with, like the more visually appealing ones. Now, he kind of went off like how they came to be. Like, if they didn't come to be in like the best way, he'd lower them. To me, it's more, I take it more at face value as far as like personal preference. To me, it's like, is it visually appealing? Is it cool? Is it effective? Like all that stuff. I mean, the way it comes to be is important to me to some extent, but not to the extent of what swag, how important it is to swag. Now, like my top jutsus are obviously some that most of you probably already have, Shadow Clone Jutsu, Chidori, Sharingan, Rinnegan. But, some that I really thought should be S tier, our particle style I thought was amazing. I really loved it. I thought it was really fucking cool. I really think Biju mode, Biju mode in general, is really, really cool. Sage mode, there's anything in the pain arc, almost anything in the fucking pain arc is S tier, man. I thought that arc was immaculate. Everything with the beginning of, with the introduction of pain to the defeat of pain. I thought it was so amazing. The emotion, the fight scenes, especially the one when Naruto makes his appearance in the Leaf Village to save the Leaf Village from pain. Goddamn, it was good. It was so good. Sage mode was so cool. Pain was just an amazing character. Everything from the speeches made to the fights that were done to everything. The storyline, it was brilliant. So almost everything in that arc is S tier. So I'm talking Rinnegan. I'm talking Soul Possession. I'm talking all that stuff. Sage mode. It was all ridiculously good. Now, there's a few, like I said, some that are my personal preference, like Particle Style, Flying Raijin, Kamui I thought was really cool. I like the Lightning Release styles, like, Lightning Blade, all that stuff. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is just my reaction to his list. I agree with most of it. I think we all do to some extent. There's some that are just more appealing and more iconic, and there are some that are kind of obscure. They kind of just fade away. Like some like the sound guy, Danzu, or whatever his name was from the beginning of Naruto Part 1. No one really gave a shit about him after that. That shit just, he was an obscure character. He died quickly, got very little screen time. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was very cool. Thank you for suggesting it. If there's any other tier list that Swag has or someone else, let me know. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. I want to thank you all again for the support. And now that I have more time on my hands, by the way, I'll be bringing you more content weekly. At least I'll try my best. And maybe even non-Naruto anime. Who knows? But if you guys have any recommendations, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Jay the Great signing out. Peace.